Hello and welcome to the 805 Focus, where we spotlight local nonprofit organizations throughout Santa Barbara. My name is Eric Davis, Executive Director of TV Santa Barbara, filling in for Dr. Cynder Sinclair. The 805 Focus can be viewed on TV Santa Barbara Monday through Friday from 5 to 6 p.m. And today we have a great special guest, Molly Green, Senior Director of Development for AHA. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
So AHA is actually an acronym. Tell us the name.
Well, it started out Academy of Healing Arts for Teens, and then we got mistaken for an arts organization. Okay. So it's now Attitude, Harmony, Achievement.
And what is the basic mission, and what do you tell people when they ask about what you do?
AHA is based in social emotional learning, and our mission is really to ensure that teens feel safe, seen, and emotionally connected.
And as Senior Director of Development, is this a role, full-time role for you? Or?
Very much so.
Yeah. So you're out there raising funds, trying to bring forward this organization so you can support teens. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm also a facilitator in one of our after-school groups, and I am often part of the parent and educator trainings.
So you wear a lot of hats.
I do wear a lot of hats, yes. Most of us do.
Yeah. Take us back. Tell me about, I'm always fascinated with the nonprofits, and you said you're going on 25 years next year.
Yes.
So you're a staple in this community.
We really are. We started out in 1999, Dr. Jennifer Freed and Randy Friedman, who had worked with teens for many, many years, both of them very well respected therapists. They started this program in the aftermath of the Columbine shootings.
Oh, wow.
So with the intent that if you are, or the belief that if you're somehow connected to the person next to you, you're much less likely to harm them. So it started as a small summer group with a very diverse group of teens. And it was so successful that it just grew from there. So we were asked to come into schools. We've had ongoing out-of-school programs for many years now. We have a steady presence in all of the local junior highs. We're in several of the high schools as well, and then summer programs, which are really wonderful.
So your main focus, or exclusive focus, is on teens?
Teens and the adults in their lives.
Okay.
So parents and educators as well, because we believe that the teens need support from all aspects of the community.
I bet.
Yeah.
This has kind of got to be a tough time to be a teenager, I would imagine.
I think being a teenager has always been challenging, but now in particular, it's very true. And the amount of isolation that teens felt during when COVID was really raging was really hard, and they were separated from their friends. And it is so important for their emotional growth to have contact with peers. So we did maintain our programs on Zoom, which was challenging, but at least it was an opportunity for them to connect.
You kept it going.
We kept it going. And we have one program that could meet in person even during the pandemic, which is our Littlest Farm. So it's a plot of land that teens come to on Saturdays. They sign up for 4-week sessions. They get paid a stipend, and they learn all about regenerative farming. And they take home fresh produce. They learn about environmental issues. So when everything was shut down, we could still get the teens there, keeping a distance, outdoors, masked, and it was so important for them to have some outdoor time and some peer time, even if they weren't right next to each other, they were at least in the same location.
One of the things I found interesting doing a little research is your pillars.
Yes.
So you actually have these foundational pillars that kind of serve as your kind of guideposts, I'd imagine. Can you tell us about those?
Yes, empathy is one of our pillars, and we really stress not only the acceptance of differences, but celebration of differences, so that everybody in the community is seen as a worthwhile contributor. We have, boy, now you put me on the spot with the pillars.
But just in general, so you have these guiding
so we have
principles.
guidelines, exactly. We have guidelines that we follow and that come into every aspect of the work we do with teens.
So you go out into the communities, you go out to the schools. How do the kids come to you?
A lot of different ways. Sometimes it's through counselors at school that will recommend it. Sometimes parents will require their teens to come as an alternative to some kind of restriction. And once they get enrolled, they end up really liking it. So sometimes they come a little bit sheepishly and not really wanting to be there. But it's so fun, and the teens are so open, and we talk about such interesting topics that they end up really liking it, and then they bring their friends in. So it really is a matter of word of mouth. And once they get the taste, they tend to stay with us. So we have teens that start in junior high and go all the way through high school.
What are some of the conversations taking place now?
Oh boy, there's so many. It depends on what the group is, because we have quite a few different groups. So we have a girls' relationship wisdom group where they really talk about sisterhood and what that means, and how to show up for one another, and how to have a voice in your community, and how to really recognize your own self-worth. We are restarting our guys group, which we hadn't had for a couple of years, and I'm really excited about that. For me, I think that's one of the most important groups we do, because young men need some strong role models right now, and need some guidance in terms of what does it mean to be a man in society these days.
Yeah, I could imagine. And there's a lot of groups going on. It was more than just the...
Yes.
You have a wide...
We have so many. We have a creative group, which is just what it seems, and it is anything from improv to other creative arts. We have a music group called EQ Vibes, and that's a partnership that we have with the Turner Foundation.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah. And Ally Group, which is the one that I'm part of, and that is a little bit more about different issues that are important to teens. And the feedback we get from many of the Ally teams is that this is the only place they have to talk about issues that are important to them, and where they're really listened to and heard, and they learn something and they contribute. And it's really beautiful to watch them take ownership of what's important to them, and learn how they can foster that, how they can get involved in the community.
And one of the things that I noticed too is you have a really small kind of instructor to student ratio too, and I bet you that's pretty critical.
That is so important, and I'm so glad you brought that up. So we have always not more than 8 teens per facilitator in any of our groups, but often in our after-school groups and our out-of-school groups, it's closer to 4 teens per facilitator. So we get to know these teens really, really well, and it's a wonderful opportunity for us, if we have any concerns, we talk in our staff meeting about, okay, this is a teen I'm a little concerned about. Who feels close to this person? Are you willing to reach out? And so we are kind of the safety net before something bad happens. And the counselors at school are so overwhelmed. The teachers have so many students in their classroom. So we get to know these teens really well. And we also offer up to 6 free therapy sessions for any teen in our program, and their parents, and any educator in the district. And if they use those 6 free sessions, we offer them at a very minimal rate, and if they can't afford that, then we continue with the free sessions. So over the past fiscal year, we had 330 therapy sessions that we gave to the community for free or at a reduced rate. And I don't know if you're aware of how challenging it is to find therapists these days, but it is really hard, and there's long wait lists. And so this has been an extraordinary gift to the community.
And then how do you find your therapists? You know, I noticed I was at Pacifica Graduate Institute before this, so I know Jennifer and some and the kind of the field. But how do you go about staffing and going about that?
We get trainees from Pacifica and from Antioch. And so they come and they work with us and they get their hours, and then many times they stay on after graduating and when they're licensed. So it's been a really it's mutually beneficial.
It's hard work. But it's important work.
It is very important work. And our clinical director, Sabrina Gachet, has been a therapist for I don't know how many decades, and she's wonderful. So she oversees all the trainees, meets with them at least weekly, and talks about any issues that are coming up.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier in the show that it's probably always been challenging to be a teenager. But coming out of a pandemic with the phones and the social media, does that present a different set of challenges?
It absolutely does. We started a number of years ago not allowing phones in the groups. So we had a little cell phone hotel where they would put their phones in, and the first couple of years, there was a lot of attitude about that. And sometimes kids brought 2 phones, so they put one in the hotel and they look at the other one. But now we don't even have to bring out the hotel anymore because they're just so accustomed to it. And they really, I think, understand how different it is when you show up without a device, when you really are connecting one-on-one, looking at somebody in the eyes, listening to what they have to say, speaking what's true for you. We started, this would be our 3rd year that we did a digital cleanse retreat in the summer. Wow. So we take a group of teens to El Capitan Canyon for 5 days, 4 nights, and none of us have any devices. So this past June, we had 26 teens, and I think we were 14 staff members there. And it is such an extraordinary experience because you can imagine that initially they are very wary of giving up their phones. And after the first couple of hours, they just dive into connecting with one another. For me, one of the most heartwarming things this year was when they had free time, they were doing things like playing hide and go seek and swinging on swings, and they just get to be kids. Yes. And they have a blast, and they connect with one another. Most of them have never even met the other people. We stay in cabins, and we do connection circles, we do art activities, we do writing activities, we do improv. So we keep them busy, but with a fair amount of free time just to go on their, do what they want to do on their own. And they have a blast. And so we have teens that have come 3 years in a row and plan on coming every year they can until they graduate. And one of our teens, this was the 3rd year she came, and she said, when I graduate, I'm going to come back here as a facilitator. So it's really, it has an impact on them, and they love it.
Sounds great. I want to go.
I know. All adults. We've played with the idea of doing one for adults because everybody says that.
So for those watching at home, if they want to learn more about these programs and the digital cleanse and all that you do, what's the best way that people can?
The best way is to go on to our website. All of our contact information is there. People are free to reach out to me, molly@ahasb.org, and I will refer you to the right person. We are starting enrollment for our fall after school programs now, so that information is online. And I just highly recommend teens and families to give it a try. And our parent groups are wonderful because I think so often parents feel very isolated in terms of what they're dealing with. And you get a group of parents together and suddenly they realize that they're not alone. Other parents are dealing with the same struggles and fears, and the leads of our parent groups have very practical advice to give and tools to give. So it's really wonderful.
So this is a support group or network or program for parents of teens?
Yes.
Wow.
So we do a number of those throughout the year. I think last year we had 12 parent groups. So sometimes there's an association with the school, and sometimes it's our own groups that we do, and those are always listed on the website.
And is that outside with the kids involved, or are the kids involved in those too?
No, it's just parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important for parents to have some time just on their own to connect with one another, and sometimes teens will come with a younger sibling and play with them over, at the side or outside.
Mm-hmm. So an important part of your job is then raising funds to provide these programs.
Yes.
Do you have fundraisers, or do you rely on donations, funding? How do you?
All of the above.
Everything.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a very loyal funders in the community. Santa Barbara community, is such a generous community, and they have people that have been with us for a long time and that believe in our mission. And then we're always recruiting new friends as well. We have one major fundraiser a year, and that's called Sing It Out. And this is my favorite event of the year by far. One of our after-school groups is called Sing It Out, and we only offer that in the spring. And it's a group of a dozen teens that get together, most of whom have had no experience performing or music lessons or any of this. And they work with musicians, vocal coaches, our facilitators, And it culminates in this event at the Libero Theater.
Wow.
It'll be April 28th the next year, where every teen stands in front of the audience and sings a solo song backed by a full band. It is the most heartwarming experience you can imagine. Every teen gets a standing ovation. There's not a dry eye in the house. And one of the things that teens learn is to stand up there and take it in, not to run away as soon as their song is over, but they take it in, and it's beautiful, and it really has such a profound impact on all of them. This is not a talent show. It's really about finding your voice through courage and through being able to do something that is so far outside of most of their comfort zones.
Absolutely.
And it's remarkable. I am always just so proud of every teen that's up there. And they surprise us year after year. And some of them are real performers. They just own that stage in such a beautiful way.
What a beautiful venue. How long has that been going on?
Oh gosh, I think 18 years now. Not always. At first it was at somebody's home. It's just grown. So when I started working with AHA 11 years ago, it was at Soho. And then we grew out of Soho and we were at Decker's in the Rotunda for several years.
Yeah.
And then the Libero reached out to us and offered their space, and that just has worked beautifully for us. And I love the Libero, and their team has been just so wonderful to work with.
So 25 years, what's the future hold? What are the plans, the big plans for the next 25 years?
We are always very responsive to the needs of the community. So our in-school programs evolve year to year. We're constantly working on refining our offerings, and now the schools are wanting a lot more. So we recently started going into classrooms and doing connection circles. We call them councils. It's based on the indigenous practice of sitting in circle in community, and really every person has an opportunity to speak what's true for them. So we go into classrooms, we break into small groups of maybe 5 or 6 teens per facilitator, and there's usually some topic that we are addressing, and every teen participates in it. And it's pretty beautiful the way that they listen to one another and learn to speak what's true for them.
Oh, this is an amazing story. As we kind of wind down the time we have together today, what is the biggest need that you are looking for?
Just really financial support, because our staff is so strong, our programs are so strong, and we get more and more requests. So in order to hire more staff, in order to keep up training the staff, it's really donations from individuals, from foundations, that we really are in need of.
And as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, it's a tax-deductible donation.
100%, yes.
Yeah. And that's your role of Director of Development.
Yes, it is. It's nonstop.
And then once again, just to repeat what we talked about at the top of the show, tell us about the name and the mission and what you are, your kind of your elevator pitch for all those watching at home.
Our goal is that all teens feel safe, seen, celebrated, and emotionally connected. And really at the base of everything we do is connection. And I think that there is so much that is dividing us these days. Yeah. And so our goal really is to bring people together and to celebrate what we have in common and what our differences are too, because that makes for a richer community.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for jumping on the show today. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much.
That was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed that. So go check out their website.
Please do.
Consider a donation to support the great efforts of AHA. We are joined by Molly Green, Senior Director of Development. I'm Eric Davis, Executive Director of TV Santa Barbara, and you're watching the 805 Focus. Tune in every night, Monday through Friday, from 5 to 6 p.m. on Channel 17. And thank you for watching.